Reactions are pouring in after President Bola Tinubu gave his assent to Electoral Act 2026 amendment. The APC supporters cheer, while opposition members and activists voice outrage. Protesters outside the National Assembly demand full electronic transmission without manual fallbacks, citing fears of a repeat of the 2023 rigged claims. INEC welcomes the legal clarity ahead of the 2027 primaries, but legal experts warn of imminent court challenges over Clause 60. Now, the PDP lawmakers criticized the rush passage, staging a walkout and voicing concerns over the count or the head count. Now, a professor of politics and governance, Kenneth Nweke, joins us now for a conversation on the new Electoral Act. Also joining us in the conversation is Barrister Fred Nzeako. He joins us alongside an activist who is also a lawyer, Maxwell Opara. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and joining me this afternoon. Professor Kenneth, I will start with you. Now, politically, what does Tinubu's signing days after INEC's timetable reveal about executive-legislative coordination for the 2027 elections?
Yeah, of course. Any bill that is passed into law can be assented anytime there's no, it can be assented within a particular number of days, of course, within the law. So 24 hours minimum, of course. I think that's what even had happened. And I don't think it would exceed maybe 21 days or 28 days or so. But otherwise, it could be returned or so. But I didn't see that happen, meaning that they were all working in synergy, of course, with the National Assembly members who oppose, the will of Nigerians. So it's simple. Transmit election results real time, and they're made compulsory. So what is the problem? Because remember the days of the incident forms. So they leverage on incident forms to do all manner of shenanigans. Mm-hmm. And so they have also decided to sign it into law with a caveat. Of course, what that means is that Nigerians or the average the voters, the polling units have to decide, for themselves whether they are going to allow anybody deceive them about network or non-network issue.
Right.
And yeah, of course, Nigerians are going to decide that day to say that you have network, post it real time. And so whether they are making any caveat or not, it doesn't matter. So it's a wake-up call for Nigerians, to stand to defend their votes at the polling unit. Dear. Nothing will happen.
Right. I mean, one would dare to say that at this point we are approaching a make it or break it season, Barrister Fred. But I'll come to you now and ask you from a legal standpoint, does President Tinubu's signing of the Electoral Act 2026 amendment resolve the contentious Clause 60 on electronic transmissions, or does the manual coalition fallback still invite court challenges like post-2030?
Well, the signing, what it means is that the signing has foreclosed further legislative actions on that, which means that the National Assembly has finished their work, right, and then pass it over to him to sign, and he has signed. So it has become an act of parliament, and the next thing is to begin to execute it, observe it, and as so stipulated. But whether it forecloses challenges, electoral challenges, I tell you that it even opens more challenges, similar to what we had in 2023. And what it simply means is that Nigerians have not gotten what they asked for from their legislature. They have not. Majority of the people wanted electronic transmission of result. Yes, they said it is there, but that proviso has is like a landmine against electronic transmission, because what will now happen is the slightest excuse, I've tried, it didn't work, then let us collect manually. Now we are now going back to the old order. But what Nigerians were asking for is, if you make it compulsory and mandatory, If you try, it doesn't work, you try again. You try again, and it will work. So, but now it has left it to the discretion of the electoral officers, who in most cases are very easily compromised, very, very easily compromised. I've always maintained that no election rigging can be successful without the complicity of the electoral management body. And that electoral management body includes from the chairman of INEC down to the last man that handles issues about election at the polling unit, the presiding officer. If they don't compromise, then the politicians have nothing to do other than to fall in line with the stipulated laws and guidelines. But in a situation where, take for example, a polling officer, a presiding officer is a youth corper at the polling unit. How much is a youth corper paid? These are things that we have seen practical. How much is a youth corper paid? Today, we are talking about minimum wage, 70,000. And then possibly he does not even have an extra that he will take home. And he comes to a polling unit, and then a politician promises him $500. So that's what they do, $500. The guy works it out in his head, and it's a lot of money. He tells him, don't worry, I will do as you have asked. That is the problem. He tells him, don't worry, we will do as you have asked. Meanwhile, the electoral officer of the local government that is supposed to be in charge of all these POs and SPOs are the ones that will engineer the process. So the corruption element in our electoral system is so high, and that is why we want to use technology to begin to cut it down. If, for example, the electronic transmission is made mandatory, it is no longer at the discretion of the presiding officer to either transmit electronically or to collect manually.
Right.
He must transmit electronically. And the once that is done, the BVAS has the capacity to do such transmission because the BVAS works with the minutest internet availability, the 2G, that even many smartphones will not work with. But the BVAS is programmed in a way that even with 2G internet, which INEC itself has agreed as far back as 2018, when they went to make presentation at the floor of National Assembly, that Nigeria has 97% internet coverage that will be supported, that will support the working of the BVAS. So what are we telling us? If we had 97% in 2018, 8 years down the line, you want to tell us that, oh, it will not work in some places. To the extent that a senator will come out and say, oh, there was no internet in my village. Whereas everybody knows that he was obviously telling lies. So the lies are too many, and that is why Nigerians are not happy with what the National Assembly has done.
Right.
And they expected that Mr. President should tarry a while. But of course, Mr. President is happy about what they did,
yes,
if he was not even the one that engineered the action.
Yes. I'd like to move to Professor Kenneth. In your own opinion and view, how does this amendment alter power dynamics between INEC and the NASS, and of course the presidency compared to the 2022 Act controversies?
INEC made frantic efforts to ensure that there's mandatory transmission of election results, being inserted in the Electoral Act amendment. Of course, that tells you clearly that the management body is favorably disposed to, getting things right in Nigeria. Because that you can't take away the fact, like the speaker in the studio had said, the other officials, ad hoc staff, including their own staff, EO, who already are compromised. Sometimes some of them have been accused of even being on the payroll of some of these political gladiators and all of those. But of course, there are things that people know, and then sometimes you begin to ask whether there are facts to them. So, but unfortunately, the level of corruption that we have in this country, yes, INEC at the level of at the official level, may be favorably disposed to it, and to also ensure that at least there is transmission of the results electronically. But how about the ad hoc staff that they send out to the field? How about their own staff that they send out to the field, who are already compromised right from when they were born, in quotes, so to say, and they're not ready to change? And then again, worsen to worsen the matter, the security agencies that ought to also checkmate some of these anomalies.
Now, Barrister...
oftentimes appear to also compromise. And so with all of this, of course, you see that the political class decided to work together against the will of the ordinary Nigerians. But what I'm saying, and I'm saying it clearly, is that it is only Nigerians who will say whether that option, that caveat, that provision of network, no network, and then manual collation results, it's only Nigerians that will determine whether that would happen or not. The polling units. Those who pass this bill into law, those who already signed this into law, will not be the entire polling units in Nigeria to decide this. It is with the voters and the presiding officers on the election day. And when the voters say you must upload the thing, they think the way we want to see it there. In my own language, okay, yeah.
Now, with the bill passed just on Tuesday, Barrister, and of course it was signed on Wednesday, were all constitutional requirements met amid the rowdy House and Senate sessions, including the quorum and voting procedures?
Well, one could say that they met the constitutional requirement. After all, their requirement is to make the law and then pass it over to Mr. President for his assent. And of course, there could be issues where Mr. President declines assent. But you find out that Mr. President signed it in less than 24 hours after the arrival of the bill for his assent. So I think it met the required constitutional expectations. And then the issue now remains, how many people in Parliament were there? How did they conduct their vote? How did they do their harmonization and all that? They, like the House of Reps, they decided to use the voice vote. Even when the nays have it, the Speaker decided to give it to the A's, and that is legislative manipulation. But at the end of the day, they now came up with something that they felt would assuage the people, because there are people on one side who are saying we want manual collation, even though those are in the minority. There are people on the majority of Nigerians, and those who mean well, who are saying we want electronic transfer of results. And INEC had made effort to convince the country when it mattered most in 2018. And in 2023 election, INEC also gave robust assurances that there was going to be electronic transfer of results. But INEC failed because they wanted to bring in manipulation. And that was why they started talking about glitches, and the chief electoral officer of the country went and announced results in the early hours of the morning and ran away from the country. So, I mean, it became very obvious that there was the hand of the monkey in the pot of soup being cooked by INEC. In 2027, as we are approaching, let that hand of the monkey be removed from the pot of soup. But APC and its apologists, and the majority of them in the National Assembly, want to return this hand of the monkey in the pot of soup. And that is where Nigerians are very, very worried. But I agree with the professor that it is the duty of Nigerians to stand their ground and ensure that after their counting of vote, that the presiding officers transmit the result every time as required by law, and not wait or adopt their own personal discretion whether to transmit or not. Yes, there could be, I foresee a situation where some presiding officers could be beaten up very mercilessly because of failure to transmit. Because Nigerians are really very agitated, very, very agitated. But if this mandatory clause was inserted, what it means is that anyone that failed to transmit real time will be cancelled. And then they do a by-election, which is not bad. Which is not bad. Because only about 7%, as at 2018, did not have internet. By today, almost 99% of Nigeria is covered. Almost. So the argument of internet or no internet falls flat.
Right.
It's only manipulation of politicians that they are looking at.
Right. Thank you so much for that insight. We go on a quick break now, but when we return, we'll bring you more on this specific bill and more news right here on News Central. Stay with us. You're welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Still in studio with us right now is Barrister Fred Nzeako and Professor Opara, Maxwell Opara. Thank you so much for joining us. Professor or Barrister, let me just continue with you as well. Now, or in fact, let's move to Barrister Opara. With protesters demanding mandatory real-time e-transmissions, will activities challenge this new law in court or mobilize street action against manual fallbacks?
I'm not a professor. My name is Dr. Maxwell Opara.
Apologies, Doctor.
Now, yes. Now, I want to start by saying that nobody is going to court in 2027. I repeat myself again, nobody is going to court. We are going to start and end it there in the polling booths. What happened once beaten, twice shy? Remember that when it happened in 2023, Nigerians, we advised people that they should go to court. People said that everybody should remain calm, that you believe in court. Now that it is like this, now that Nigerians has lost confidence in Nigerian judiciary, it's going to be in court. So I have a message for President Tinubu. I have a message for Senator Fabio and Honorable Abbas. Do I still call them Honorable Abbas, the Speaker House of Representatives? They have not won. This is the beginning of the game. They have succeeded in letting Nigerians know that they are ready to rig election in 2027. And this has also helped Nigerians to come back to their consciousness that they should be very, very ready in 2027. Nobody, no man created by woman will rig election of 2027. Either we get it right or we'll stop at that. Just take it to bank. We have pleaded with them, let us build a country that we call on our own, but they feel that the best way is to bring a disorganized system so that they will still have their way back. They believe that the best way is to technically institutionalize the electoral fraud so that they will still have their way back to their various positions, whether they are competent or not. And we said Nigeria belongs to all of us. And I want a situation whereby I will leave a good Nigeria for my grandchildren. Not a good Nigeria, not a Nigeria my father, a good Nigeria my father did not leave for me. That I'll be hustling from morning to night. I pay all my bills. I'm not benefiting anything from government. Since I was born, I've never benefited anything from government. I've been on my own. Then, and somebody, when we say, like, let's get it right, somebody said, no, the best way to do it is to disorganize the system so that you come back and continue to loot. It will never stand. That is the message I want to give to anybody. So when you're talking about court, who is ready to go to court? Court, to which court? To go and do what in court? No, you can't beat me and ask me to go to court. Where I know that, yes, the court is already with you. It will not stand. Let's you take it to bank. It will not stand. I know what I'm telling you. I've been on the street. I know what I'm an activist. I don't go to AC. I go to market. I know what people are. People are ready for this 2027. They have made everybody to understand that even the churches, the mosque, the traders, the educated and non-educated, everybody has understood that the best way to get it right in Nigeria is to be involved in politics. They cannot. There is no polling booth that you will not upload it there. Whether that failure, you say failure to do what? Just like you said, that copper will not leave that place. That copper, if there is no failure, the copper will be there for until 30 years. Until we restore this thing. So that is the message I have. So when you're talking about court, I'm not interested in that. Going to the court to do what? Which court? Right. A court that tell you that a rule is no longer a law. How dare you? We have court rules, Supreme Court rules, FCT High Court rules, State High Court rules, Federal High Court rules, National Industrial Court rules. The CJN or the heads of court that made that rule at the National Assembly, does the rule included in the various court acts? Are they not using it? Don't you have CBN rules? CBN that making rules for this and then reaching on that of INEC. You said that INEC rules is no longer a law. Where you, the court, said that if you are filing a matter in court or doing anything in court and you did not follow the rules, your matter will collapse. Then reaching of that of INEC because of your personal. The person that you want to favor, you said that it's not the Nigerian judiciary that kept us where we are today. I don't know why my people are missing words. I will continue to say it and I will prove it anywhere. Remember how they started with card reader? It's the same Supreme Court that said that card reader is not captured in Electoral Act 2010. When I captured it in Electoral Act, you start telling us another thing. Now they make a rules telling people that everybody should come out. Your vote will count. On that day, that of House of Federal House of Rep, that of Senate went, reaching that of President. You said there is a technical hitch, and the Supreme Court allow you to get away with it.
Right.
And somebody's telling me court. Nobody's going to court. Nobody's going to court. I won't advise anybody, any politician, to go to court. Sort it out. If you have a miss it in that polling booth, forget about it.
Yes. That's an interesting input there, Barrister. But how might this amendment, let's look at the timing now especially, how might this amendment's timing, of course it's days after INEC's 2027 timetable, affect ongoing litigations over the 360 days notice and Ramadan overlaps?
Well, I guess they have tried to avoid that challenge by adjusting it from 360 days to 300 days. And also that election will now take place before the Ramadan. Because, again, don't forget that there are timelines between the time of election and the time of swearing in. So they want to avoid that. But you see, I get very worried about what we call this an electoral reform. This is not electoral reform at all. It's very far from reform. This is even worse than what we expected. But when you talk about electoral reform, two major cardinal principles that we expected that should be put in place. One, that the president should not be the one to appoint the electoral management body. Right. The chairman of INEC, national electoral commissioners, and the resident electoral commissioners. These three cadre should not be appointed by Mr. President, because Mr. President is a partisan person who is interested, who run election on a political party platform. Two, that all issues about post-election litigation must be exhausted before anybody is sworn in. These two cardinal principles are missing, and you call it electoral reform. It's not reform. They only amended the 2022 Electoral Act to accommodate, one, the issue of legalization of beavers, the issue of legalization of IREF, but that of IREF, they undermined it again by the proviso of manual collation. So I think they have ended up wasting the time, the veritable legislative time of the people, and then they have wasted the hope and aspiration of Nigerian people who hoped that real-time electronic transmission of results will be on the order of the day. But as it is, it's neither here nor there. And that is why it is a booby trap for anarchy. They're likely to be anarchy, very serious anarchy. Nigerians are angry. Nigerians want their votes to count. For the opportunity time, they expected that at least this should be an opportunity for their vote to count. But what the charade that they did at National Assembly has undermined that hope and expectation and aspiration of Nigerian people. So the next thing is, a lot of them will now resort to self-help. That's why I say that they will likely start beating presiding officers. In as much as I hate violence, but when he who makes peaceful resolution unavailable is making violence inevitable. And that's exactly what the government is doing. They are making violence in 2027 election inevitable. And it is very, very unfortunate that people will lose their lives because of election. Election that is supposed to be not just seamless, but you are not even supposed to lose man hours, you know, on election day. But now, not only that people will lose man hours, some people will lose their lives because of the terrible attitude of the people that they elected to make laws for them at National Assembly. I think I am very disappointed with the output of this 10th Assembly. Completely disappointed.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.